Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to all of you. I welcome Honorable Chief Guest, His Excellency, Mr. Jorge Rosa, Portugal Ambassador to India, on the launch of Innovation Management Solution Exago Market. His Excellency has been a crusader for strengthening trade and bilateral investment relationship between India and Portugal. We are fortunate to have His Excellency on the event as a chief guest despite of his very busy schedule. He will be delivering his keynote address today and enlightening us with his thoughts. It is my pleasure and privilege to welcome our guest, Dr. Ravindra Kumar Chadda, Additional Secretary, Lok Sabha. Dr. Chadda always has been very supportive on new information technology initiative in the government. His contribution in bringing IT information, government procedure and process is immense and commendable. We are honored to have him deliver the inaugural address this evening. I am also pleased to welcome our Portuguese friend, Mr. Pedro Duque Corma, Vice President, Exago Market, on this grand event. Mr. Pedro is inspiring professional behind the success of Exago Market solution in Europe. His domain knowledge and selfless contribution to the organization has resulted in establishing Exago Market as a most recognized brand in idea management solution in Europe and South America. I welcome Mr. Francisco de Rosa, Business Development Manager, Exago Market. Mr. Francisco plays a key role in generating new business opportunities for Exago Market. With his endeavor and vision, Exago Market able to achieve successful client engagement in Europe and South America. My dear friend, there is a saying, innovation distinguishes between the leader and follower. It is my privilege and pleasure to welcome leaders from top Indian business enterprise who strongly believes that capital and experience is not that important. You can get both of these things. What is important is an idea. Innovation is defined as a process by which varies degrees and measurable value enhancement in the planned and achieved in any commercial activity by the introduction of new and improved goods, services, and processes. Innovation is not limited to the commercial activity. It encompasses the immeasurable value enhancement to customer, talent search and retention, employee satisfaction through opportunity to innovate, and also value additional to the industry level leading and brand enhancement. Old saying, a man may die, nation may rise or fall, but an idea lives on. Idea have endurance with death. Globalization provides opportunity as well as the challenge to the nations to use innovation as a strategic lever to generate knowledge flow. It provides unprecedented potential, innovation to be used as a tool, revenue generation, job, economics growth, etc. At the same time, globalization creates challenges for the firm to either innovate or perish. In the race of the top slot, the only way ahead to companies is to innovate. The only way to stay ahead to the innovate, and such innovation is necessary core competence to remain competitive in the new and landscape. In fact, the Indian economy is expected to grow at about 7% in year 2012 and 13. Many Indian firms are successfully competing against international firms and brands. India is emerging as a global hub for innovation, low cost, as well high value products and services. Recent acquisition by Indian companies in the global market also significantly increasing trend by Indian companies to leverage the various possibilities of innovation that the global market offers. Statistics are already showing that the increasing significance of innovation and scale and scope of such innovation occurring among the country from today. The study reveals that the 40% of large firms and 17% of SMEs have introduced new to the world innovation during the course of their business. 17% of large firm rank innovation as the top strategic priority, and 75% rank of the top 3 priorities. Idea can life-changing. Sometime all of you need to open the door and just one more idea. Even though most of the Indian enterprise have good understanding of the potential of collaborative idea management and realization of what it can do, the balance sheet of the company, they do not seem to be using a fully integrated exclusive innovation management solution. The IT solution used by the Indian companies are not specially designed for collaborative idea management, need to be are made by the workaround or general collaboration tools. It is in this context, LBN Infotel has brought Exago Market, a unique software solution to India in partnership with Exago Market from Portugal. The solution, when adopted, is likely to be game changer for Indian companies and bring them a par with their American and European counterpart in managing their idea and converting it into innovation and profitability ultimately to the company. This will be one of the more important steps in making the Indian corporate world in becoming a global player in the day to come. Today, we have with renowned personalities from the field of collaborative idea management. My colleague, Mr. Vasudevan, is going to take you to the basics of collaborative idea management. Mr. Pedro will take you to the adventure ride of the Exago Market Idea Management Solution. Mr. Francisco will show you the Exago solution actually work and cite some case studies, etc. I am sure together these gentlemen are going to enlighten all of us here and understanding the merits of the collaborative idea management. I would also like to welcome the print and digital media participating in this event, and I am sure with their participation in Converse, the awareness about the idea management solution will increase among the enterprise in India immensely and benefit them individually and the country as a whole. So thank you very much for this, and now my fellow speaker will come, Mr. Vasudevan.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. So I'll straight away go to I'm going to run a kind of what is called a primer before we start, my colleagues from Portugal will talk in detail, and they have a lot of expertise in dealing with that subject in North America, South America, and Europe. So I thought for the benefit of the Indian audience, let me start with a primer and little bit tell about the difference, because a lot of people still, when we go and talk to them, they don't understand what is innovation, what is idea, and what's the difference, what is an idea management. I thought this is a good opportunity for me to start with that introduction. So a lot of people talk, okay, what is innovation, what is creativity? So the creativity being the phenomena whereby a person becomes aware of an idea or a concept for something new to the product or a solution or it's generally a work of art or creativity. It has some market value or some potential. On the other hand, innovation is defined as the process of acting upon or putting to use that concept or a combination of concepts so that the value is created and in a new way it's captured. So to say, creativity is a way of spending money to generate ideas, whereas on the other hand, innovation is spending ideas to generate money. That's the differentiator. We all want to make money, generate more for our own companies and the country. A lot of people again ask, what's the difference between an invention and how does it differ from innovation? Creativity is seeing what everyone sees, but thinking what no one else has thought before. Invention is transforming these new thoughts into tangible ideas. On the other hand, innovation is introducing these ideas to the end user. Innovation is channeling creativity so as to produce ideas, products, and services that people can use or wish to use. For invention, The focus is on novelty. Then only you can get registered as a trademark or registered mark if you have done that with an act. And this is a key criterion for patenting. In other words, it must be new to its field all over the world. It should not have happened before. That's the requirement for invention. Innovation, on the other hand, does not necessarily have to be new, except in specific situations. Because there is something called an incremental innovation. Somebody gives an idea, you could elaborate it, subtract, add, and make more suggestions, make it better. It's still accepted. That is how the innovation world space works. I would say in my mind, the best innovator India ever had is Mahatma Gandhi. You must be all a little surprised what Mahatma Gandhi has to do with innovation. In 1930 March, he came with an excellent idea, a unique idea nobody has thought of, to pick up a fist of salt and created what is called Salt Satyagraha, a movement which people were ridiculing. Even some in the Congress party didn't understand what he's doing. The British was really making a joke of it. How can taking some salt and burning in a kettle and creating salt is going to change things? But that innovative idea has changed the whole, way the freedom struggle spearheaded and rolled out. And that is a real starting point for the momentum building up to the Indian freedom struggle and finally led to the freedom from the British clutches to India. So he is one of the greatest innovators of the time, which he thought in a way nobody else could think of. He really proved to the rest of the world. A lot of people have commented in their books what an idea Mahatma Gandhi had and how it changed the Indian freedom movement. A lot of people say, why do I need innovation management? We have quality management. Can't it do? We have ISO 9000, so many ISO certification. We have Six Sigma certification. We have Kaizen methods, what Japanese practice. So the difference is here, whereas the quality management seeks the best practices, the innovation management seeks the next practices. So that's the differentiator. A lot of people again say, I have one of the best state-of-the-art research and development laboratory with me. My people are the best. They do a lot of research and development. Why do I still need to seek idea from people, other people? So the differentiator is here. Research and development will continue to play a key role. I'm not saying it's not needed. Everybody, all of us need. But it gets limited to the select few people or group in an organization. But if you start believing the corporate leadership begins to utilize the talents of all the employees rather than a select few, then we move to a different approach, a bottom-up approach, which can achieve much better goals and in a much faster method. There is a proof of that happening in the rest of the world. So the definition of innovation management is given like this in Wikipedia: the discipline of managing the process of innovation. There is another longer explanation. Innovation management is focused on the systemic processes that organizations use to develop new and improved products, services, and the business processes. It's a method of harnessing creative ideas from any source. When we say any source, it could be your own employees, it could be your customers, it could be your suppliers, anybody, and utilizing them, building on them to bring a steady pipeline of profitable new innovations to the marketplace quickly and efficiently. So, ladies and gentlemen, innovation management today is not something alien. The way we have different department functional heads, marketing, sales, finance, HR, IT, innovation management is a different discipline today. The organizations which have realized this are doing well. MakeMyTrip.com is an excellent example. The average age of people in that organization is 30, and they have a vice president innovation. That's why they're doing well, and there are a lot of success stories like this. So the innovation management leverages processes, tools, techniques, and approaches to bring reliability, repeatability, and consistency in the creation of innovative products and services. Collaborative idea management is the key to harnessing the wisdom of the crowds leading to innovation. My colleague Pedro is going to talk about the wisdom of the crowd in detail. That's the concept behind the whole solution. Talking about the wisdom of the crowd, I would like to cite an example. There's a most popular television game show, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, started in UK. And we all know about Kaun Banega Crorepati, popularly known as KBZ. And these game shows have been adopted in several countries worldwide with different names. All this format of the game shows have something called, in India, KBC we used to call a lifeline. Ask the audience in UK and audience poll in India, KBC. If you look at the statistics, it proves that in more than 95% of the cases, the collective wisdom of the audience has always proved correct. So the participants who sought the audience poll have always been the winner because they were able to get the correct answers, something we had no clue at all. This is a typical example of wisdom of the crowd. This is something which has appeared in yesterday's newspaper. If you look at it, this is again innovation. The gentleman, Anil Gupta, who is the founder of National Innovation Fund, he says, we scout for innovations in informal sector, from common people, farmers, tribal, students, and so on, and take them all to the way up to the market, and that he considers as the bottoms-up approach. This is in yesterday's paper, you could see, and it is the reality, so it's happening. So people in India, even in smaller sectors, people make these small equipments, so they start realizing what it can do to them. The traditional innovation management process goes in a straight line of discovering, defining, developing, and delivering. Whereas today, the innovation management is very complex. From idea stage to design and development stage to implementation and evaluation, it has a very complex process with a lot of functions. So, what are the key success factors for innovation management? First and foremost, a committed and engaged executive leadership. If the CEOs don't believe that this is going to work, it's not going to work at all. It starts from the top. And efficient process and effective process and tools. And you have to allocate appropriate amount of resources, both human, financial, time, and infrastructure. A very disciplined approach. And the attention given to this management and this business, and finally in the execution. And most of the corporations, enterprises in India and elsewhere have, most of them, except that which I put in the bold. Effective and efficient process and tools which does not exist as of now, not with everybody, and a disciplined approach. That is where the Exago market solution fits in. My colleague Mr. Pedro from Portugal is going to talk about in length, so I leave it to him to cover the best. So the challenges faced by the industry, both in India and elsewhere, they do realize that there is a need for idea management and it can add a lot of value to their businesses. But the lack of organizational processes to manage innovation efforts, lack of continuous source of ideas, sometimes the pipeline go dry, lack of resources dedicated to the innovation management, and lack of tools, techniques, and approaches for making innovation management successful. So with that, I don't want to steal the limelight. Mr. Pedro is going to talk about it at length. Francisco is showing you the demo, how it works. So I would like to finalize and summarize my thoughts. So it is today a distinct business discipline. It's not that innovation is some HR job or somebody's job. It is indeed, you could create an innovation management, idea management division within your own organization. It is really worth the effort. So it's not easy. It is primarily a process-driven method. So it needs 4 key success factors: committed leadership, effective and efficient processes, sufficient resources, and a disciplined approach. So innovation management is a repetitive cycle of divergent and convergent thinking and action. It's not a one-time, one-stop method. And collaborative idea management can lead to better innovations. With that, I would request Mr. Pedro to talk about it.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. On behalf of Exago and Albion, thank you very much for accepting this invitation to be here today. Today, it's more and more challenging to continue to grow the business at the same rates that we've enjoyed in the past. So we know that India continues to enjoy a very healthy growth rate. We're talking about 7%, 6% a year. Some countries where we come from, we haven't grown that in 10 years, so that's quite a good rate. But still, if you think about companies in growth, if you think about industries in India, you will see that some of the industries are becoming saturated. Today, the market is flooded with offer. And for businesses, even in countries and in contexts where we are growing at 7% a year, it's harder and harder to continue to sell and continue to grow at the same growth rates. It's harder and harder to keep or to maintain the margins in business that we have enjoyed in the past, because there is a lot of indifferentiation. So when I go to buy a refrigerator, I go to a mall, and all I see is a sea of refrigerators that sort of look alike. When I buy an airline ticket from Goa to Delhi, there are probably 20 offers in a day, and so typically for me they are pretty much the same, so I tend to buy the cheapest one. When I choose my mobile operator, the packages, they all seem very alike. So what we are observing today, and what we have observed in the past when we founded Exago, is that there is a huge pressure in growth and in sustaining the margins in business. So what some companies do is that, faced with these sort of challenges, what they do is actually to start analyzing the problem. So company A meets in this room, in this lovely room, and their executive team, based on the same people that have been there for quite some time, they meet in this room, and their competitor, company B, will sit in the room next door, okay? But because they do the same analysis of the problem, they are looking at the same data, they are looking at the same information, because the people that participate in both meetings, they have been in the same schools, they have been in similar companies, they have attended the same conferences, the same consultants. Basically, they do the same analysis of the problem. And the same analysis of the problem typically lead to same strategies. So the strategies of company A and B are very much alike. When you have the same strategies, you come up with similar products and services. And this is actually the best thing you can give to consumers. Because when consumers are faced with things that are very alike, you know what they do, right? They buy the cheapest, okay? So they buy the cheapest offer. And businesses, and it can be, again, mobile operators, it can be information technology, it can be refrigerators, any business falls into the trap that we call commoditization. The businesses are commoditized. And so this creates a lot of pressure in business. So one of the things that we found is that companies more and more, they need to seek differentiation. They need to look at other ways of doing business. They need to look for ideas that will lead them to new growth, but also ideas that will lead to a more efficient business, efficient way to operate their business. And to do that, they need more and more to engage their organizations, to get their contributions with new ideas and decisions. And those ideas, they will lead to new revenue and efficiency gains. So that's this innovation approach is what will lead to perceived differentiation to customers, to consumers, and that will lead to that sustained differentiation that companies are looking for. So this was sort of the starting point that got us started at Exago. This notion that companies need more and more to engage their people in order to keep the differentiation momentum. So companies need to engage their professionals, their stakeholders, to get their ideas, to get their insights, and to put them to work in order to get continuous differentiation. So that was one of the key findings that got us started. The second insight, the second fact, is that we feel that there is significant knowledge, insight, experience in our organizations that is being untapped. It's really untapped. It's money on the table that we leave there every day. And I remember a quote from Henry Ford at the beginning of last century. And Henry Ford used to say, why is it that every time I need a pair of hands, a brain comes attached? So in the Taylorist model, he was saying, we just need arms, we don't need brains. And there has been a paradigm shift now. So today, it's exactly the opposite. How can I get from our people more than just arms and legs? How can I get our people to come every day to work and do more than just their job description? How can I have all their intellect, all their enthusiasm, all their knowledge, all their passion to work every day? And how can I tap into that resource that is there and that is being untapped? And so we started looking, how are companies doing this? And strangely enough, companies still today use something that looks like this, okay? There are variations to this theme, but the suggestion box, the idea box, is something that companies still use today. Okay, today you have electronic suggestion box. Today you have, cloud-based idea boxes, but they are still boxes. And idea boxes are boxes filled with ideas, okay? And, well, it's a good start, but often it fails. These sort of efforts, they gain a lot of momentum at the beginning, and over time they fail. And they fail for several reasons. I've noted down a couple of them here, but I'll just take 2 or 3, and I'll spend more time on 2 or 3. One of them is that typically, when you launch an idea box sort of model, what you're expecting are typically incremental ideas. And when you expect incremental ideas, if you engage large organizations, so Exago has clients with 10,000 people, with 60,000 people, okay? So when you engage, when you call for ideas in large organizations, you sometimes can get flooded with ideas, okay? And so there is a challenge there, which is to process all these ideas, to analyze each one of them, to understand if there is a fit with the company's strategy. You need to go through a screening panel, a second filter, an innovation committee, a managers committee, a directors committee, and so on. And so that evaluation process, it really takes a lot of time, and it consumes a lot of resources. So the cost of evaluating all those ideas is very high, and it turns everything very slow. And you and I, you know that, if you contribute with one idea, you would like, some feedback. And you want feedback not in 6 months or a year, but you want feedback in the next couple of weeks. And so people get demotivated and don't participate in these sort of processes. The second thing is that another aspect of it is that these sort of boxes are very opaque. They are not transparent. So people submit their ideas and then they don't know what happened inside the box. They know that, management is serious, that the innovation team is serious, but they don't really know what happened inside the selection process. So this lack of transparency also hinders participation. And finally, I'll just like to touch on one more point, which is these idea systems are made for people with ideas. Okay? Idea boxes are made for people with ideas. So if there's someone, and in your companies, people that don't have ideas but are very good in analyzing, they have a very analytic mindset. They can criticize every idea. They can build on that idea, but they don't have ideas. Those people are excluded out of innovation processes because there's no way they can participate unless they have ideas. So many of these processes, many of these initiatives, they fail for some of the reasons that we have here. So what we have observed, and when we were discussing this 5 years ago, we observed that, well, there is a huge need to engage the organization for ideas. So there is the need. There are some solutions, but they fail for some of these reasons. So we started doing some research and said, well, how can we solve this problem? How can we create an opportunity for ourselves here? And so we learned 3 things. We learned a lot of things, and we learned by error as well. But I'd like to share with you 3 things that we've learned and that really changed the way we looked at these challenges and really shaped the way the Exago idea market works. The first one is called wisdom of the crowds. And wisdom of the crowds, it's something that has been studied for quite some time, but it was sort of coined, the wording was coined by a gentleman called James Suruyeki in the book called Wisdom of the Crowds, and it's a very interesting book. And it's, if you synthesize the whole book, it says that large groups of people, under certain circumstances, they tend to make better decisions than a small group of experts. Okay, let me repeat this. A large group of people, they tend to make better decisions than a small group of experts. So, somewhere there it says, under certain circumstances. And those circumstances, one of them is that you need to learn a little bit about the theme that we're discussing. So if you're talking about rocket science, probably I wouldn't trust any crowd to discuss that. But for example, if we do an analysis here and to think about what is the temperature outside, okay, all of us are capable of coming up with a number. Collectively, this room, this audience, will be more accurate than the most senior person in this room, or the experts in temperature and meteorology in this room. Okay? Collectively, we'll be more sharp, more precise than the few or the expert. Okay? So if, once we launch this thing in a company, if we have to consult everyone, the company would stop. So we said, well, how can we use that? And we learned that there's something called prediction markets, or more simply a market. And markets, although, all the crises that we have and lack of confidence in markets, they are still the most effective way to evaluate an asset. After the crisis in 2008, there was, a lot of questioning about the stock market. Sure, it's not a perfect system, but it's the most perfect that we know. So if you want today to know the value of a company, you can do your math, you can do an accounting, but at the end of the day, the real value of the market cap of a company on a stock exchange is the one that reflects the real value of the company. Okay? So, what is Exago? Exago is a blend of all these buzzwords here. You know, we looked at innovation as a challenge, the search for differentiation as a challenge, and we said, well, if we throw in a little bit of wisdom of the crowds, a little bit of prediction markets, so the market's way of evaluating, if we put in a little bit of crowdsourcing, if we add the gaming aspect of it, and we throw in some interesting incentives so that people, you know, participate because there are incentives to participate, we can really come up with something that is different, something that is not comparable. We have this platform that we've developed, so the Exago idea market, or the Exago innovation market. So we have this platform where any professional from the organization can log in, okay? So it can log in just like if it's on the intranet, you just log into your intranet and you will have access to the platform. And in this platform, you have what we call an innovation cycle or an innovation challenge, okay? This is a 2-month innovation challenge, a 6-week innovation challenge. And so in every cycle, what you do is to define 1, 2, 3, or 4 what we call business challenge, okay? So we have either an operational challenge or a strategic challenge. So every employee will log in, will have access to the idea market, and they will see what is the challenge of the week, okay? The challenge that top management wants to solve in that particular time. So it can be around, how can we enter a new market segment? How can we improve a certain process? How can we come up with new solutions to a specific region? Okay? So we can think it can be around efficiency. How can we reduce our energy costs, the energy costs of our buildings, for example? Okay? So it can be more strategic-like challenges. It can be more operational challenges. So if I'm a professional in company A, I will just log in, I will look at the challenges, and I can have 2 or 3 challenges, and what I'll have is I will invite my participants, my professionals, my people to come up with ideas. So they will fill a template, and you will see that in Francisco's demo, and for every validated idea, they will get a currency. They will get 100 points, okay, 100 credits. So there is an incentive for me as a professional to participate. Every time I submit a valid idea, I get 100 points, okay? So everybody's participating. I have different challenges. I submit the ideas to the challenge that I know of, and I get credits, I get points for that. In a second moment, what I do is to again invite everyone to comment on each other's ideas. So remember what I said a moment ago, there are people that don't have ideas, but they are very good at criticizing ideas. They are very analytical people. They can see where the flaws are, and they can also see how to build on some of the existing ideas. So I will invite these people and ask them to comment on those ideas, to build on those ideas. And for every comment, every valid comment, I will also give points or credits to the participants. So I won't give 100 points, but probably I'll give 25 points for every comment, every valid comment. So now imagine this, you have business challenges, you have your people participating with ideas and comments. And what I tend to say at this time is that there is good news and bad news, okay? The good news is that because you created an incentive scheme, you have a lot of ideas. A lot of ideas. The bad news is that you have a lot of ideas. And now you need to select which ideas you will, proceed or invest. And so this is one of the big challenges that the traditional models have. How did we solve this challenge? We solved it by creating an idea market. So imagine the three challenges that we have. We have created a market for each challenge. And what we do is to invite the organization again, and we will ask the organization to invest their credits, the credits that they have earned before, in the ideas that they feel bring more value to the company. So you have a very interesting way, a very efficient way to select the few from the many ideas. And in doing so, you also solve one of the biggest problems in traditional innovation systems, which is you are already providing feedback to the rest of the organization. So if nobody invested in your idea, that's already a feedback that you're getting. You're getting feedback from everyone saying that your idea was not interesting enough to capture investment. So through this market mechanism that we have created, we are able to identify and to approve some of these ideas. Well, this is where sort of democracy ends, okay? Because now we look at the market, we extract, the top 10 ideas, the top 10 performers, the top 20 performers, and we go back to the business owners, to the people that own the business challenge, and we say, well, we have 500 ideas in this business challenge, and the market collectively is saying that you should look at these 5 or should look at these 10. And this is an executive decision at this stage. The business leader will decide which ideas he or she will implement. Okay? So this is where we go sort of offline, and there is an executive decision. Now, what happens to people? What happens to all these people that have contributed with ideas, comments, and investments? They have earned currency. Remember, they have earned those credits. So me, I've earned 200 credits by submitting ideas, 2 ideas. I've earned another 100 credits for submitting 4 comments. And I've earned some additional credits because I invested in ideas that performed very well. So now, what I can do with those credits is exchange it for prizes. And we help the companies that we work with finding what those prizes are. They can be tangible prizes. They can be, a voucher to spend on a library or in a show or in a match. They can be education prizes, so the access to a course, to a conference. They can be charity. Some of our clients do that. You exchange your points and the company will make a donation to a certain charity. They can also be intangible prizes. This is the way the market works. This is the way our solution works. Besides the consulting setup, besides the software itself, we sell year-long process support. And that process support has to do with monitoring the usage of the system, assuring that the momentum is there, making sure that we have the right incentives, that if needed, we increase the number of credits or decrease the number of credits given to a certain challenge. So if the market collectively is betting on a certain idea, when it comes to implementation, it's easier because there is this sense of ownership to those ideas. Finally, this is a good way to communicate strategy. So instead of just operational challenges, if I have strategic challenges, this is a very simple way of translating or scorecarding strategy into very tangible challenges. Finally, we have one client that has told us that he also uses this platform, this solution, for talent spotting. You and I know that it's very easy in large organizations for people to get lost in translation. They get, very large organizations, and senior management is far from everyone, so it's very easy to lose good talent, lost in the hierarchy or in geography. We fit very well, the two companies. And we fit very well because we fit very well. There's a huge match of competencies. They have expertise in fields that we don't have. They are outstanding in the topics or in many IT disciplines that we don't have today, and in cloud computing, which is something that we are quite interested as well. And one of the things that we feel that this is a good match, the best partner to be with, is the fact that they have a lot of ambition and a lot of drive in building this consulting practice, and I think we live and breathe the same sort of values and same sort of motivation. So we are very pleased to launch today officially this partnership, and I'm pretty sure that we will create a lot of learning and value for both companies. So let me finish my presentation by saying and challenging you all that if your company is facing one of these challenges, if your industry is being commoditized, so if you feel the pressure of indifferentiation in your industry, if you are having challenges in attracting and retaining your best talent, because talent is attracted to innovative companies, if you feel that your people are not engaged enough, if you're facing decreasing margins or margin pressure, if decision-making is centralized in a few, if there is uncertainty about the future, maybe, just maybe, it's time to embrace innovation, to embrace all sorts of innovation efforts, from R&D to all sorts of IT innovation, but also an innovation that engages your people to come up with solutions that already exist in the minds of your organization. So our challenge to you is, think about innovation as a way to engage your people, to engage your stakeholders, internal and external, to continuously come with ideas that can bring value to the company, that can bring differentiation in the eyes of your customers, in the eyes of your consumers. And we think that our solution is a powerful solution to get that very rapidly and to get that in a very efficient and fun way. Okay? Thank you very much. And again, thank you very much for inviting me.